Hallo, das Gregor. So installieren Sie einen Drucker unter FreeBSD. Es sollte einfach sein.
So I don't speak German, and I'm actually fairly impressed with the Google Translate audio kind of voice to text to speech kind of thing. But this video is sort of an out of sequence, just quick little, I don't know, sort of tutorial, kind of find my way through it kind of thing, for a gentleman who has a YouTube channel called Gregor, and he is experimenting with FreeBSD coming from a Linux background. I just recently found your channel, so I'm not super familiar with your background. But he's running into a problem installing his printer, getting it configured, probably is a better way to say it. And so I have a TrueOS system, basically FreeBSD, in a VM. And I thought what I would do is just kind of go through getting a printer set up there, because I happen to have an HP printer scanner device. So it's an F 4100, something like that. But we'll take a look and basically just kind of go over getting it kind of set up and installed. So let me jump over to my main display, and hopefully this is big enough for you guys to go ahead and see what I'm typing. But let me actually go change the color scheme to try to make this a little bit easier to see. And actually, let me go bump this up a little bit, make this 26 instead of 24. Maybe that might help a little bit. And we'll make the colors go Solarize light. That might be a little bit easier for folks to see. Or actually, let's do green on black. No, that seems hard to see as well. I'm just looking at the little mini preview over there. It's about the size of a YouTube window. So I'm trying to find something that'll be fairly readable. And I think black on white is probably the easiest. So FreeBSD system or TrueOS, close enough. There's going to be a couple different things that we want to go do. So the first one I want to go do is I've already done this. I just did a package info, and you can go see that I've got the HPI.js, which is drivers and support resources for HP inkjet printers, and I get the HP LIP package installed. I've also got cups installed. So I installed cups, and as part of the HPI.js, I believe it installed the filters, which are basically sort of like printer drivers for cups. Cups, if you were not aware, is the common Unix printing system, right? CUPS. And the way that cups works is a little bit weird. So you can go ahead and configure the straight up config files. I think they're probably located in etc cups, right? Or it might actually be a user local etc cups. Yeah. So if we go ahead and look in here, there's going to be a number of different config files. But one of the interesting things that cups does is it actually starts a local server on your system. And if we go to a socket stat -4 -L listening on TCP/IP version 4, you can go see that on localhost 631, we've got a daemon running, and this is cupsd. Now I should note that cups was not originally running on my system after I installed it. This is a very common thing on the BSD. So they'll install stuff, but they won't turn it on for you because, well, we don't know if you want to turn it on. So one of the things you're going to want to go do is you can do a sys rc, and then do a cupsd enable equals yes, and do that as root, and that'll add that to your etcrc.conf, right? So that's a nice thing to go do. I'm not sure if I did that already, but I can always go back and clean it up if I didn't. The other thing that you want to go do is you can do a service, and then I can do a cupsd status, and I know that it's running because the port's listening. But if you weren't, if you just installed this, you would want to go turn it on as well. So there's a couple different ways to go do this. And one of the things I wanted to mention is, since you're transitioning over from Linux, and this is true if you're coming from Windows or Mac OS or anything else, to a new operating system, one of the things I always recommend is to make it easy as humanly possible. And coming from a Unix background, that's phenomenal. It's going to give you a really big advantage. It's going to make life a lot easier. But another thing that you can go ahead and do is you can install the webmin package, right? So if I go just do a package search webmin, there is a webmin package for FreeBSD. When you install it, it will give you instructions on configuring it. There's a little script that you go run and you give it a user to go log in with. Typically what I do is, despite the fact that it's listening on all interfaces, I've actually only get it configured to answer on localhost, right? So it's a nice thing to go do. You can go manage your systems through a web interface or a graphical interface and do it safely, right? So by default, there is no cups module for webmin. Actually, I probably should put this down here. But if you wanted to, you can actually go install a cups module for this to, that didn't seem to work. We don't really need it, but you can go install it and go configure the system through here. I'm going to go over to, I thought I had it already open. I'm just going to go open localhost, right? :631. And actually I've got a tab open. It looks like, yeah, okay, over there. So this is the web-based interface for configuring cups. And you know, you've got a whole bunch of different sections. You've got your printers and your jobs and your helps and classes. And this is nice because a lot of times people will want to go set up a print server. This is another option that you have as well. If you're going back and forth through a whole bunch of different operating systems and you have a printer that's not like network enabled, you might just go grab yourself like a little Raspberry Pi, 0W, and throw a print server on there, and just use that and never have to worry about this stuff again. You just point it at your remote print server and it makes your life really easy. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add Printer, and hopefully this will come back with something. Come on, there we go. So it's saying, hey, you need to go log in. Let's go give it my root user and password. Let's see if that likes it. Okay, cool. So don't save that. So it's giving us a whole bunch of different options. And it says, hey, there's a HP DeskJet that you've got hooked up over here. Is that what you'd like to go use? So I'm going to go ahead and click that. If we wanted to go do a remote print server, you could go set that up pretty easily and just go ahead and give it, IPP or remote line printer if you were doing it that. I'm then going to go ahead and I'm just going to go pick the USB one because that's the one that showed up first, but I could probably do the second one as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and click continue. And it's going to say, how do you want to go get this configured? If you wanted to go ahead and set this up as a device that we shared out on the rest of your systems, you could easily go do this as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and not click the share printer button. It's going to go ask you information about how you want to go get this configured. Using HP cups. I'm going to say okay with that because that seems right. And I'm going to say, okay. So add a printer. We can go ahead and configure the basic kind of properties of this. So it's letter, double-sided printing is off. All this looks kind of good. I'm going to go change this to, let's say normal grayscale, right? Because I typically don't print in color. And then we can go ahead and go here, right? We can go ahead and see this show up. And let's go ahead and, launch a application that we're going to go ahead and do some printing from. And actually, I can probably just go ahead and do file print from right here. And we can see that, in fact, we have our DeskJet there. And I'm going to go ahead and click print. And I don't know if you could hear that in the background, but there's some noise coming from my printer. And I'm going to step away for half a second. And once that pops out, I will bring that over. So as you can see, that looks pretty good. Nothing crazy. It's just a printout, but you know, it did the job. Got it configured, all that kind of stuff. If you want to go configure scanning and things like that, you can also do that through Webmin as well. So that's an option that you want to go ahead and get back to. You could go pop over to Webmin, and you could go down to hardware, and you could go poke through. So now you can see that there's a printer administration thing, and I think this is for this is for line printer, which is the more old school way of doing things. But you can go ahead and configure it however you want. So yeah, that's the basic idea. There's a ton of other kind of stuff through Webmin. So if you wanted to go do the configuration through there, but what I would recommend is basically installing those packages, right? So we did package info. Now it's cups filters, and then the HP ones were HP IJS, and I just installed these with the standard packages, as opposed to compiling them through ports. Generally, my take on packages and ports is, and this is debatable, but I do everything through packages where possible, and then I only go use ports for very specific things where I need to have a custom configuration, and that's or I need to be more up to date than the packages, because the packages are updated quarterly, which for printer drivers and things like that should be fine. But however you want to go do it. So that just might make it a little bit easier for you. So you basically install the printers, you make sure that cups is enabled and configured and turned on, and then instead of mucking around with configuration files and all that kind of stuff, you saw how easy that was to go do with the web interface, right? It basically is going to go show up on port 631 on localhost. And again, you can always go do a socket stat, which is sort of our equivalent to, or sock stat, I should say, which is sort of our equivalent to netstat. We have netstat on BSD, but the options are a little bit different. So sock stat tends to kind of show you more what you would expect coming from a Linux background. So that is it. Willkommen to FreeBSD. Das Gute. I hope that you enjoy it. I mean, don't feel like you have to go to the BSD. I mean, it's Linux is perfectly fine. It's just a question of whatever you like. But I think one of the main things I should point out, by the way, is FreeBSD handbook. Right before I did any of this, I just went to the FreeBSD handbook real quickly, and if you go look through there, and it may just be that you haven't played around with cups before, you use other kind of printing, but if you search for cups here, and this is, in fairness, it's probably not, where's going on with this? Did I spell it? Oh, CPUs, not cups. Yay for dyslexia. They have a separate document that goes over configuring it, and they actually refer specifically to HP in there. So if you go look at this, it basically talks you through installing the print server, and it recommends that you have Gutenprint and HP lib. And I don't think I have Gutenprint installed, so I'm going to go install that just because why not? So package. Didn't seem to find that, so I'm going to pull up my little DM package utility, Guten print. There we go. It's just Guten print by itself, as opposed to Guten print -cups, and we can have that installed. So that's it for this little video. This is just a little quickie. It's sort of an out of band one, but it's basically just intended for. I forgot I wasn't sharing the screen for that last little part, but I installed Guten print there as well. So pretty simple. Hopefully this should resolve your issue, because printing, as you say, should not be a barrier of entry. So for anybody else who's interested in videos on this channel, I do talk about tech. I talk about IT career. I talk about Unixy stuff and all sorts of other good things. This is probably not the best representation of the channel, but I do go over kind of basic topics. So things like configuring a printer, is certainly something that I would go over, although it's not a FreeBSD specific channel. It's more of a Unix and IT and Linux and career kind of channel. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, click down below and subscribe. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.